Cbrad Nessler told a fantastic Caitlin Clark story during the Iowa State-Iowa broadcast. During Saturday's Iowa-Iowa State game in Iowa City, CBS Sports broadcasting legend Cbrad Nessler told a fascinating story about the Caitlin Clark effect. Clark, an Iowa sports all-time great, has become one of the nation's most beloved professional athletes since joining the WNBA's Indiana Fever this past spring. As Nessler visited a sports bar in Iowa City on Friday night ahead of broadcasting the Hawkeye Cyclones game, he noticed that 3 gigantic screens the size of a semi-trailer truck at the bar were playing Friday's Fever and Minnesota Lynx game. Apparently, the night's NFL game wasn't nearly as important at the sports bar than Iowa fans cheering Clark on in the big leagues. They had the Eagles and the Packers on about a 24-inch monitor in 2 spots, Nessler recalled. And every time Clark hit a 3, the crowd went berserk. And when the game was over, the place emptied out. Nessler said you'd have to be living in a cave to not know who Clark is, and an anecdote like this underscores what tremendous reach she has in the sports world right now. Entitled Brat, Caitlin Clark ripped for embarrassing diva behavior in Indiana Fever loss by Jason Whitlock, and the WNBA star agrees. Jason Whitlock says Caitlin Clark made a fool out of herself by failing to control her emotions in the Indiana Fever's loss to Minnesota Lynx, and the WNBA star herself admitted she must do better to stay composed. Clark repeatedly clashed with referees during the Friday night game, and at one moment, when she thought she was fouled contesting a rebound, stayed down on the floor rather than getting back to help defend. The Lynx beat Clark and the Fever 99-88, with Clark still scoring 25 points on the night. Whitlock, who usually praises Clark, wrote on X on Saturday, Caitlin Clark made a fool of herself last night. Embarrassing performance. Her lack of emotional control and hyperfocus on arguing with and showing up the refs caused the Fever to lose composure and meltdown. She has a well-earned bad reputation with the refs. No player in the WNBA spends more time whining and bickering with the refs. Last night she took it to a new level. She behaved like a 12-year-old entitled brat. This has to be fixed and addressed. It's not a one-off. It's been there all season. It's gone uncorrected, so it's getting worse. The Fever won't reach their potential until Clark grows up. Her lack of emotional control is the biggest obstacle for the Fever. She's the leader of the team, and Aaliyah Boston has followed Clark down the whiny path. It has to end. The refs, for good reason, do not like the Fever. Whitlock also shared the clip of Clark lying on the floor after not getting the call she wanted and simply captioned it embarrassing. Problem is getting worse, not better. I love her. But she's a brat and diva on the court. Clark said after the game she needed to learn how to harness her emotions when refereeing decisions go against her. I think there's definitely a line, she said. I was frustrated and thought I got fouled a couple times in the second half on mid-range jump shots. It happens. Sometimes you get calls, sometimes you don't. It is what it is. I think I could have done a little bit better job controlling my own emotions. I think there's a line, and sometimes your passion, your emotion can get to you, but that's not something I would ever change or anybody on our team would ever change. Clark, whose Fever team have already secured a place in the playoffs, returned to action on Sunday afternoon against Atlanta Dream. Caitlin Clark struggles to control emotions after taking hits, not getting fouls called. Caitlin Clark didn't get the foul call she was looking for during the Indiana Fever's 99-88 loss to the Minnesota Lynx on Friday. After the game, Clark referred to instances in which she was hit by opposing players but refs didn't blow the whistle. Clark said those moments had an emotional impact on her that she hopes to control better. I thought I got fouled a couple times there in the second half on mid-range jump shots, Clark said. It happens. Sometimes they get calls, sometimes they don't. It is what it is. I think I settled a little bit too much for mid-range jump shots, but I thought I got bumped a little bit and I was honestly trying to shot fake them to get them to foul me. But Clark added that she doesn't believe her emotions need to change. I think there's a line, and sometimes your passion, your emotion can get to you, Clark said. But that's never something I would ever change or anybody on our team would change. At one point in the game during the third quarter, Clark got knocked to the floor by Minnesota's Nafisa Collier. Collier's arms appeared to hit Clark in the upper head and shoulder area when Clark tried to score in the paint. The officials did not call a foul on Collier, and Clark lay on the floor with her arms spread out to her sides. Clark didn't have any urgency in getting back up, and the Lynx made it down the court on a fast break and scored. That score put the Fever in a 10-point hole that they never dug out of. Clark's coach, Christy Sides, addressed the incident after the game too. "When she's upset or mad, that's what we've been working on, trying to figure out how to get past those moments," Sides said. "She's got to learn that, in those moments, I need my point guard to have a cool head, get us in whatever we need to be in offensively, and if it's not a foul call that you thought, you have to get back. There's a reaction to all of our actions, and we have to make sure we don't put ourselves in a worse spot with those kind of moments." Clark has had to manage her emotions quickly since coming to the WNBA with regard to hard fouls. Last week, Chicago Sky player Diamond DeShields sent Clark flying across the floor for a foul that was later upgraded to flagrant 1. After the game, DeShields posted a screenshot of her notifications list on Instagram, which included a string of hate comments from a user. Clark took an infamous illegal hip check from Chicago Sky forward Chendi Carter on June 1. Carter refused to answer questions about the incident at the post-game press conference but used her social media to repeatedly criticize Clark. Sky rookie Angel Reese struck Clark in the head with her arm while trying to block a pass during a game on June 16. "If I was the owner of the Indiana Fever, I would get a real enforcer in there to protect her," Noah told Fox News Digital during an interview at NBA Night in the Emirates Suite at the U.S. Open in New York on Wednesday. Noah acknowledged that Clark may be getting hit by opposing players because they are aware of the talent she brings as a difference-maker on the court. "Sometimes I feel like she is getting hit because she is a very talented person," he said. "But at the end of the day, we're in the business of winning games, so if I'm the owner of the Indiana Fever, I'm getting a real enforcer in there." However, Noah believes that the physical treatment Clark has received has been great for the WNBA. "I think it's great," Noah said when specifically asked about the fouls that have occurred against Chicago. "I think it's all entertainment.